And just next to me is Moses Mauku, who is the Treasury General. And of course, Mauku, I would say, has been so much around. Most when we talk about the people in the union that brings together allied workers, those in the hospitality industry, in tourism, also there he features very much. Moses, good morning.
Good morning, and I wish to take this opportunity to welcome and salute Uganda.
Now, to begin with, when I talk about the National Organization of Trade Unions, one would say these are new faces. My viewers would say these seemingly look new faces when I talk about the positions that they are in. The Treasury seems new to very many people. Then also the General Secretary, or Secretary General, because I think it is that title, the wording that brought problems somewhere. So it is Secretary General. Also, Richard looks fairly new. But let's begin, even before we go into how new people are, let's first understand, when we talk about the National Organization of Trade Unions, Mauku, what are we referring to? What is your mandate? What do you do? How did you come into existence?
The National Organization of Trade Unions came into existence by the then President Idi Amin's decrees of 1974. And the National Organization of Trade Unions is a federation that brings together the national unions. In Uganda, we have 46 registered trade unions, and 34 out of the 46 affiliate to National Organization of Trade Unions. And the National Trade Union, NOTU, is mandated to coordinate the activities and the affairs of the national trade unions in relation to workers' terms and conditions of employment, trying to ensure that the workers' issues or concerns are well coordinated at policy level, both locally and internationally. Just like the national trade unions affiliate to the National Organization of Trade Unions, the National Organization of Trade Unions, NOTU, also affiliates to regional trade union confederations. For example, we as NOTU affiliate to OATU, Organization of African Trade Unions. We also affiliate to the East African Trade Union Conference, Congress, and we also affiliate to ITUC, International Trade Union Confederation. All those are networks that we create for purposes of coordinating the workers' issues, both nationally and internationally. And the other federations also affiliate to ILO.
International Labour Organization.
Yes. So that is the linkage and the roadmap. The roadmap we walk from an organization in a given company, connecting this worker to the to the International Labour Organization.
Now
that is in as far as representation is concerned. And National Organization of Trade Unions exist by 2 articles. Actually, it emanates from the ILO Constitution and the conventions. And locally here, we exist by 2 articles in the National Constitution. That is Article 29 and 40 in totality. That is where you get the clauses that establish the existence of National Organization of Trade Union like other trade unions. But also, our functionality is embedded in the Labor Unions Act of 2006, which was just an amended act from the decrees that we used to have.
So that well explained. I'm now sure that my viewer knows exactly who I have, what exactly the National Organization of Trade Unions does. Now, this brings me to Richard. Richard, we must say the organization, or the center, as it is called, has had a bit of challenges here and there for some good time. Now, finally, at least there is some leadership which we have you as the Secretary General. First, tell us about currently what is the status of the National Organization of Trade Unions, and how do we see Richard now as the Secretary General?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to come and address the country over the issues regarding labor in Uganda. As you have already stated, my name is Richard Bigirwa. I'm now the Secretary General of the National Organization of Trade Unions. You have clearly stated that we have had some hullaballoos in the National Organization of Trade Unions, but now we are glad that we are settled, though with some few challenges. Myself, I've been around in the labor movement for over 20 years, growing through the ranks, right from rank and file. When I say rank and file, I mean that I've risen from an ordinary worker to representing a worker at departmental level in a company. I've gone to be a national treasurer at the National Union, and now I'm the Secretary General of NATO. So I have quite a wide experience over the issues of workers, and I'm not new in labor movement. The challenges we have had, these are issues of organizational nature, and normally whenever change comes, some people try to resist change, but I want to assure you that the decision to change leadership was taken by 99% of the affiliates. As my colleague has highlighted, that we have 34 affiliates, and out of those 33 affiliates unanimously are resolved to change leadership for the reasons which are obvious, and definitely we have gone through all the processes of registering new leaders. The Labor Unions Act states that whenever you are changing leadership, there is a process. After a meeting, you file returns to the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. There is a register of labor unions who goes through the process and ascertains whether the process was duly done or there was flaws into the process. And accordingly, the Register of Labor, on 12th of January, we had a meeting on 9th. He went through, and definitely later he was satisfied that the process was duly done in the right way. And accordingly, 3 of us who replaced the ones who had resigned and the one who had died were registered. So we must say we are legally in the office, and we have been registered, and we are taking on the work rightly. We have had so many engagements with employers and the international partners to see that the workers' issues are handled into this country rightly. So I want to assure the country that the National Organization of Trade Union is stable, and we are moving. We may have some few challenges still, but those are normal. And I want to assure you that what is important, the National Organization of Trade Union is owned by member organizations, and those are the unions. And those are the unions which make decisions, who becomes their leader and who becomes what. So we have gone through all those processes. And I want to assure the workers of this country that we are stable and we are moving rightly. Thank you.
Now, how are you planning to do things different? What is new for the workers, for the members in these various unions, that we can say new leaders have come into office, there were issues that led to them being elected, and now they are legally in office, as you've said. So what is new? What can we expect? This person who wakes up every morning, comes to work, he's a member of a trade union, maybe the hotels, maybe. So what is there for them?
Maybe I can respond. I want to respond and reassure Ugandans that as not to, like the Secretary General has just mentioned, as new leaders of NOTU, we have chosen to start on the line of planning. We have had planning meetings with our development partners. We have had a big planning meeting with all the general secretaries of all unions. 4 days we had a retreat to review what has been happening, what went wrong, what do we want to do to make things better. We don't want to do it alone. We have adopted the system of involvement, inclusion. We want to work with everybody who is concerned in the area of workers' representation. Our social partners, our development partners, and the owners of the workers' fraternity, that is the unions. So we began on that footing. During that 4 days retreat that took place in Mbarara, we discussed a wide range of issues in trying to plan the best way to change the way things have been done, not as individuals, but as all leaders. And we are yet planning another meeting, that is the General Council, that involves about 100 leaders from the 34 unions, including our members of parliament. And again, we go at it so that we do something that has been agreed upon by everybody, that is understood by everybody, and where we believe that that is the right way. And the other thing that we have also chosen to do, it is always said that if you plan, if you fail to plan, you actually plan to fail. So we have chosen to start by planning our activities. We have also decided that before we do many things, we shall do the ad hoc, but we have already started to engage in development of a strategic plan for 5 years for NOTU. And that was part of the things that we were doing in the retreat, is to agree on the strategic engagements, strategic objectives that shall foster NOTU for the next 5 years. And that way we believe that we shall be doing something that is going to enhance the plight of workers of this country, together with everybody's efforts and ideas. So we do something that we believe that is going to change things from what we have been doing or what we have been going through to something better for these workers in this country.
Okay. Well, just to remind our viewers that you can be part of the topic of discussion this morning by simply using the number on your screen and send me a WhatsApp message on 0709 60 25 92, 0709 60 25 92. I'll read each and every message that comes in. We are looking at that is the welfare of workers. How can the union help improve workers' welfare? So that is our topic today, and of course this takes me to Richard. Richard, this is a body that must ensure first there's a conducive environment, and of course mutual understanding between the employee and the employer, because you know many people have that perception of trade unions. When you tell them have a union, they will tell you, we don't want those people. But let's first understand, how does one become a member of a union, then later an affiliate to NOTU?
Thank you, our host. It is very important to know that the labor movement in Uganda here is for the workers, and it is for the interest of the workers. That is very key, and that's the message I want to be driven across the country, that trade unions are for the benefit of the workers. One of the key issues which some of our colleagues do not understand, the labor unions, I might say, they should be very useful, and they are very useful to the workers of this country. And I always refer to some people when, like yesterday, when it rained, some people had put umbrellas under the bed, and they didn't know the use of umbrellas. I want to say the trade union, on a rainy day, that's when you will know that it is important. And we have been quite very helpful to this country, even to those who subscribe. And I must say, we represent everybody. I have heard people say, how many are you? We represent all workers of this country. Because when we are reviewing the law, when we are trying to discuss issues pertaining labor, they benefit all workers. We do not segregate. Recently, we had an amendment of the NSSF Act about mid-term access. We have not said only members of trade unions should benefit. And we were very key to drive this agenda. All of you have seen us move up and down to ensure that we convince the parliament, we convince all relevant people concerned to ensure this law pass. And we have done it. And many other laws are coming up, like Pensions Act is now on the way. We have health insurance. We are very pertinent.
You failed with minimum wage?
We have not failed.
We are still at it.
We are still at it. So I want to say that we are very key. So we represent all workers. The issue of how many are you, I think this should never be a question again, because everybody benefits from what the labor unions do. Secondly, on the issue, how does somebody become a member? First of all, you must be employed, or that employee-employer relationship. More so, we also have the informal sector, which we have ventured in. So when you are at the company, the law requires that a union in that very sector, we have 46 unions, and we are divided according to sectors, and that's why they say trade. It is according to trades. So there is a relevant union in that sector. We shall have a National Teachers Union, we shall have Hotels Union, we shall have Beverage or Bottling Union, we have Building Unions and whatever. So that very union approaches an employer for a recognition. There are two approaches. One, the union might approach workers first, okay, and convince them to join a union. When they finish, then they write to the employer to recognize the workers' union as a representative of the workers on all issues pertaining workers. When that act is done, then now we go into what we call collective bargaining agreement, where there are terms and conditions of service. And that is where now an employee will benefit. And that agreement has various aspects which we negotiate on, including salaries, including all, call it the sick leave, whatever, all these things we discuss. You may tell me that all these, some of these issues are into the law, but the law provides for a minimum. For us as workers' union, we go beyond. So that is our role, and that's how somebody becomes a member. The other approach is where you approach an employer, and he agrees to sign. Then you meet the workers, and the workers then, therefore, join the union. And you have leaders in that very organization. We do not, as a national union, you don't yourself stay at the workplace. No. When we reach a workplace, definitely we elect representatives who are a link to the management and the national center. I mean, and the national union. So after that, then we are able to transact business. And that's where how we drive our duties as regard to the unions. The national center is a coordinating center whereby these unions will definitely report to the national center any issues which they feel is still not going well or where they need assistance. And the national center coordinates with government, mostly and the international partners, to ensure that the workers' issues are on course. Like my colleague said, we have the global unions, the OWATUs, we have ITUC, then up to the ILO. And that's how we channel our issues.
Now this brings me to ask Moses, for someone watching us, he works somewhere, why would one join a labor movement or a union? What is the purpose? Because I actually have gone to some people who employ people and they will tell you, I don't want to hear anything to do with the unions. Those people, even their history back, who will tell you they are trouble causers. Some have said, I don't want to be part of the union because my bosses may see me in a negative way as someone who wants to foster rebellions, strikes, demonstrations, this and that, and their hands are not welcome to you people.
Thank you, Brother Robert. I would wish to inform Ugandans that there are employers who still have that notion of unions being troublesome, unions being trouble causers, or unions only fighting for salary increments all the time. It is not the case. I think they are still ill-informed and or misinformed. Unions play a very vital role. One is, maybe if I can explain what trade unions stand for the world over. Trade unions are not only in Uganda, they only came here in the 30s. Trade union movement started as early as 1830 something, 1834, 33 is when trade unions started elsewhere in the world. It's only new here in 1937. So trade unions actually stand, or its description would be, they are voluntary, representative, democratic workers' organizations that are basically formed by workers themselves, financed by workers for the purposes of advancing, advocating, promoting, protecting, and defending the workers' social, political, and economic interests in the workplace. And by so doing, the government is a beneficiary of the trade unions. Employers are a big beneficiary of the trade unions' services. These trade unions, in doing all that function through collective bargaining, they try to ensure a harmonious or peaceful industrial relations in any given country and at workplaces. And trade unions are regulated by the international standards. They are regulated by the national legislation. It is not that unions impart themselves on anybody. We are there, and because we are supposed to be there. Just like you have a government, as long as you're a member state with UN, it is mandatory that you must work with the trade unions anyway. So working with the trade unions, or governments to work with the trade unions, is a mandatory aspect. It's not a wishful thinking. It's an obligation on every government that is a member state with UN and therefore ILO. It is a matter of compliance. And what we do is provided for by the native laws. For example, the national constitution provides for the liberty and freedom of workers to freely associate. Like it is for religions. You have the liberty to choose whether to be a Muslim or to be a Catholic. Likewise, a person in employment also has that liberty to become a member of a union of his or her choice within his or her trade. So these unions only negotiate terms and conditions of employment to stabilize the working relationships between the employer and this employee, as regulated by government. However, I also want to appreciate the fact that in the olden days before globalization, we used to have some unions used to practice some traits which were not very palatable to many employers. We were characterized by pushing a hard stance. If we want something, we want it, and if it is not that, then it is a strike. I think those are days that are gone. And if you have been around, you used to hear plantations burning in ginger here several times. But those were the days. As of today, the ILO introduced what they call the social dialogue principle, which encourages unions, governments, and workers to sit and amicably discuss issues. Even if it is a war, what stops a war is actually talking. Guns can shout for months or even years, but what will stop a war is what people discuss. So we have been encouraged and we have learned. We have gone to, we have undertaken courses, we have educated ourselves on the principle of social dialogue, is what drives us.
Now, Moses, this takes me back to Richard. We've had trade unions here for a very long time. And when we talk about issues of workers in this country, I must say there's so much that needs to be done. And I always ask myself, where are the unions? Even if I look at some of the messages that are coming in, thank you so much for sending me these messages. Please keep them coming. I will read them out. But let me just take a sample at one. Thank you for the program. In Kigwe Livingstone of Rezakas Jansi, those organizations are only good for office bearers. The Mr. Bajiras, Mauku, Nabalala, they are good on talk shows, on TV and radio, but when it comes to real implementation of the law, they do opposite. The very workers to benefit remain isolated. My humble request is that you people think of marginalized workers like teachers. They suffer during COVID-19 times. You people, you are very busy, enjoying not even a single voice to rescue. That is a Chigwe Livingstone from Reza. Another one similarly comes in. Good morning, panelists. I am Julius in Nansana. How can that union help workers who do not have appointment letters in case an employee refuses to pay the worker? For example, most medical centers around Kampala don't give appointment letters, and therefore nurses and doctors find challenges when such facilities, when it comes to paying salaries. Chairman, General Secretary, these are issues that make us wonder. You're around, you've been here, but such happen.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to put it clear that we have 34 labor unions as a national center and are divided into trades. And each union is responsible for a different sector. And for instance, my colleague in private teachers, we have a private teachers union, which is our affiliate. And we have a responsibility as leaders to ensure that private teachers are protected from any form of exploitation. As new leaders, my colleague has already highlighted, we have begun with the planning. We have planned, and we are going to continue planning with different unions to ensure they engage in all areas of work where workers are. For instance, now the private teachers, we are going to engage with it to ensure that private teachers come out of that kind of bondage. We are aware they have suffered greatly from the effects of COVID-19, and in COVID-19, while the colleagues in the government were being paid, for them they were not being paid. We understand. But we are also aware that, as my colleague said, we want to have dialogue with different employers. It shouldn't be a fight like in the past, where we are perceived to be people who are combative in all our doings. We are going to engage with the private teachers through the associations, through their administrators, to ensure that private teachers and other sectors, medical and wherever, to ensure that things change. We must assure the country that give us a chance, and you see how things may work differently. We may not be perfect, but we are going to begin on each and every aspect. We have discussed all these issues with different general secretaries to ensure that things go back to olden days where trade unions used to be, but not in a combative manner. We are also trying to talk to the employers that to remove that mindset, to ensure that they welcome trade unions in a discussion. And one of the benefits to the employers is that when you have an organized labor, the labor which is together, which talks together, it is of advantage. But some of the employers think that the more the workers come together, then they become successful companies, the plantations, the wire, they have had unions for centuries, but they are growing strong. There is no problem with them. We have had unions in the breweries. They are growing strong. So that perception that where a union is, there is trouble. No, we want to change the mindset. And I want to assure the workers of this country that things are going to change. We are going to work together. And we also want you to change your mindset as workers and know that now let us move together in the same line. Don't look at us as exploiters. Don't look at us as trouble causers. Let us have a mindset change into our minds so that
may I add something?
Yes, briefly.
Probably what I wanted to guide the people that have sent messages. One of the other things is when you feel that you have a problem, the best way is to report that problem. As the organization that coordinates the other trade unions, once we get information about either exploitation or non-compliance, all they are reporting are issues to do with non-compliant by the employers. If they can only report these matters, we shall begin handling them. We can talk to an employer, but you know, the fact is that even if one commits an offense and there is nobody who is complaining, you are not guilty until somebody else has complained. So there are people who have been non-compliant, and the employees have not properly reported these matters to the right organizations. Many times you find employers are running to police, LOCs, and these are not people who are technical to handle matters of labor. So I only want to advise these comrades of ours that as and when you feel that you are not being treated in a manner that you feel you should be, then the only thing is for you to look around for any union, trade union, and report your matter. This person will refer you to where you are supposed to be handled. If not, you can go to NOTU and report your matter. Then NOTU will coordinate your issue. Some certain times, there are places where there is even no union recognized. We can actually ourselves send officers to go and talk to these employers as we coordinate which union is meant to take charge of that particular.
Now, a quick one in relation to that, Moses. What is your modus of operandi? Because you said now it's not being combative, but most of the successes I've seen stand to be corrected. Where I've seen either unions, it has had industrial action. I'll give an example, like one of the messages that came in, please let's have your name on this. He said, thanks for the show. How has NATU helped you, NATU, in their fight for salary disparities? James from Kaboko. Okay, but there is one that was saying, well, you did a great job when you see the medical and all that. But you see, most of the times, issues of workers that they have, either the employer benefits because he's maximizing profits through exploitation, and it may be hard for that person to quickly accept, I've been making profits of this magnitude. You're telling me working conditions, you're telling me medical, you're telling me this, you're telling me giving people leave. All these have an impact on my business. So how do you, what confidence should we have that, yes, really you can push and see things happen?
One issue is that we need information. Many of these employers, you may be operating a business at a profit level of maybe, let us take an example, that your profit is about maybe 10 million in a month. And you are not observing the labor laws. you may attempt to observe the laborers among your workforce, and the productivity increases and the profitability also increases, even when you are actually, because I always share these examples. You can try to undermine an employee or mistreat an employee, but we have slogans like, pay me the way you want and I work the way I want. Or you pay me the way I want and I work the way you want. You have also had this notion of people coming in offices, put the coat on the chair, and he goes to do his business. He will come back and eat lunch, he goes back again, but you are paying him. Such an employee is not productive. Even in the people who have, say, hotels, however strict you are, even if you mount cameras every 1 meter, an employee can choose to make you lose money. The same profit you are trying to maximize. If you do bad to him or her, he can go and open taps in 3 rooms and water runs the whole night. And it keeps your water bills very high because he's not happy. You get? So the only thing is, make this person also reasonably. Talk to him. Allow him to exercise his rights. Allow him to understand, why am I paid 1 million as a salary and not 1.5 or 500? Involve the people, and they get to understand the problems of the organization for which they work. So they will become more loyal to the organization and become even more productive. But this question of saying, I will squeeze them by not paying this, by not paying NSSF, they can find ways of making you pay through loss.
Because there's this notion that Uganda, our unemployment rates are very high. So if someone, you fire them today, even in the few minutes, you have someone to replace them who may even perform better.
It is still, I don't want to sound abusive. It's only an employer who is ignorant, who thinks that using new people, who you need to train every time, training is a cost. And the person who is learning will definitely spoil materials. If you want to chase the people who have the skill, who have developed, learned skills of how to best handle your machinery, how to best do your work with less resources, because you are fearing to pay an etc. And because you are aware that there are many people looking for jobs, then become a training ground. You train people, they go and work for other people. You train, they go and work elsewhere. You will just be an ignorant employer to imagine that you are going to be bringing people new every time and train them. Your profitability levels must be compromised by that system of all approach. So the best thing, maintain those that you have. One man, the manufacturer of Ford cars, I read his book where he was saying that you take everything that I have with me and leave me with my employees, I will become Ford again. Even if you took all the money, all the machinery, and leave him with his experienced employees, he can still build and regain his status within a little time. Those are the people who understand the value of labor. Labor, people or employers or investors who treat labor as a commodity always don't get the profitability that their organizations or businesses are meant to. Because it is a fight between the interest of this person you are squeezing or you are trying to marginalize against your profit. You may not pay me here, but I will make you pay through some other cost. So the only wise issue is for us to understand that I need an employee to operate. The employee also needs me, and we work as partners. Agree to grow together. But if you want to continue growing the other side when this person is not growing, then you are not a good employer anyway. You only wish good to yourself, and you don't wish the good to the other person who is making you good. But the other thing is that the law is clear. Let us, as unions, pursue what the laws require. We dress 3 attires as labor union leaders. We shall come to you very humbly and request and even kneel down. But if you insist then we shall change
To another color.
to another attire and now begin demanding. The request turns into a demand. And that is how strikes are authorized in law. And when we are going to do a strike, we tell you that we are giving you 21 days. We either agree, and we're not saying just do this. Come and we sit down and agree.
Discuss terms.
Yes. If you are adamant within 21 days, then we are going to go on a strike. And we shall come and prepare the strike in your organization because we have that right in law. But it's not the way we want. Actually, many times these days, even when workers attempt to go on a strike, we go and quarrel and say, no, let us discuss. But the strikes are provided for internationally and also in the laws of Uganda.
Well,
It's
allow
not what
me
we want,
go
but we want
to my viewers. I have a number of questions here for you. But please kindly let's have your name and where you're from. Very many organizations don't know what is called NOTU. And workers are suffering of them. Very many companies collecting their money, but they do not pay them. So this one says you're not known. Then you have another one. Good morning, moderator. Greetings to your visitors. Well, the General Secretary mentioned that he has been around in that business of trade unions for a while. I believe he must have known how difficult it is to negotiate with the government of Uganda. In most cases, unions go in the name of negotiations, but they end up being lectured, and the leaders start individual negotiating for bosses at State House instead. How can this team make us convinced that they will work for us, not for their own interest? This is Tom Okero from Guru.
We actually want to work with them. For them.
And then I have one, Herbert from Zombo, TCI. I am a motorcycle mechanic. I joined the union in 2018 while at Sienorad Crop Karuma hydropower plant in 2019. I was terminated without getting my union identity card. Am I still a member of the union or not? And how can I get my union identity card? Currently, I'm a private teacher. Teachers. Then one, Baleke Moses, General Secretary Drivers Union. Thanks for the Baleka. Thanks to the Secretary General, Notu, Bijira Richard, and my namesake, Moses Mauk. We expect a lot from them. Well, thanks for the program. Well, thank you for watching. And many, really, it seems unionists are kind of saying, will this team deliver? A number of the messages are similar. They're like, but will this bring what we've been longing for? You had one who was saying, yes, you guys start off very well, then you go to negotiate, then at the end of the day you begin individual negotiations for places somewhere. At the end of the day you betray.
To some extent what they are saying is right, but our pledge to Ugandan workers is that we do not want to work for workers. We want to work with workers. The SG has told you. There has been this notion of people saying, how many are you? We are as big as the number of the people employed in Uganda because we represent everybody. There are three parameters of membership. There are three. The potential members, the substantive members, those are the ones that pay. But we also have the book members, people that have registered, but for one reason or the other, they have not yet started paying. So everybody working, including you and all of you, are members of trade unions because you're not members of government. You are not employers. As long as you are not an employer and you are a worker, then you are a member of the trade union. We represent all these people. What we want to urge Ugandans, if you want this labor movement to be very strong,
effective,
belong
to it.
You belong, become a member from wherever you are, so that we have the mass that it requires. And we want to work with everybody. We don't want to work alone and that we are working for people. No, we must work together because all of us, We are only in these leadership positions. But we want to work with everybody to push our agenda as workers. That is all we are saying.
Well said, Moses. SG, as we wind up, the gentleman who lost his ID, is he still a member?
Thank you, viewers. First of all, the connotation he has put that once he was a motorcycle driver.
No, he was working with Karuma.
He was working with a driver. That means he was under building union. And I remember building union was organizing that place. It is a bit unfortunate that he lost his ID. But one key issue is that now that he's a teacher, now he belongs to another union. That is now, if he's in a private teaching, that is a private teachers union. If he's in government, now he belongs to UNATU. So he needs now to link up with UNATU to ensure that he becomes a member and he will be issued another ID from that
It's such unions issue membership cards, not identity cards. Identity cards are supposed to be issued by the employer.
But that is now called a membership card. Then next, what I would like to put to the country, that they should have trust in us. We have pointed out that we do not want combative organization or type of arrangement. But my colleague has told you clearly that we have many courts we can come in. And right now, I would like to tell the Uganda Railways Corporation that they have detained 4 of our members without trial even being brought to court. Now it is coming to 2 weeks. We don't know where they are. And the General Secretary has tried his best to seek an amicable way of discussion. If these people are guilty, bring them to court. Or let us discuss. You have a union and see a way forward. Uganda Railways Corporation has kept these people in detention. Let them be brought to court. So we have written to IGP and we have written to the managing director of railways to ensure these people are brought to court. And those are issues which push us into action. You cannot put somebody under arrest for 14 days without being brought to court.
But Uganda Railways does not detain.
No. So it is management together with the railway station, with the railway police. Yes. So definitely Uganda Railways is part.
Responsible.
Is part. We have an agreement with them to discuss. And this matter is being brought to us. Now, such companies are provoking us into action. And this one we shall not accept. You cannot detain people like that, our members. This is very serious. And I want to tell Uganda Railways, please swing into action together with Uganda Police to ensure these people are brought to court.
Well, time is running very fast. I'll just give each of you a minute to get your concluding remarks, beginning with Moses.
Thank you, Robert. In my conclusive remarks, I want to call upon Ugandans, one, to cooperate with the new leadership of NOTU and agree to work together with us and allow us some little bit of time so we rearrange and reorganize and put things in order. Because a few things had gone out of order, and that is why we came in before the term of those that we were supposed to continue up to December came by. Under the circumstances, I only wish to inform Uganda and employers and employees that we need to work together because each one of us need the other's services. Nobody. Government needs workers, workers need employers, employers need workers. So the tripartite partners need each other. And I want to congratulate the women. We are fresh into a new year after their celebrations. I also want to wish Ugandan workers very well as we begin a new chapter, and people should learn how to report their issues to the right organizations. I encourage everybody who is working to become a member of one of the unions in Uganda so that we can grow stronger. I want to wish you a very good day.
Well, SG, as we wind up, just in a minute, please.
Thank you, our moderator. First of all, I would like to thank you for hosting us. and I'd like to tell the country that the new leadership is pro-workers and will work with you, as my colleague said, to ensure that we make change, we bring up change which is helpful to the workers of this country. And to the government, we are ready to work with you together to ensure that workers of this country are in a proper state and the working conditions improve, so that the economy, we are the engine, the workers of this country are the engine. And so we want to thank you, and I want to thank the workers for being patient with us during this time. All of us have been seeing it not through on the screen. We want to apologize for those who feel that in one or the other way we embarrass the labor movement, and we want to say that we shall work together. Please be our advisors. My colleague has said, come join unions, and we boost and we have big numbers so that we are able to negotiate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. That is Richard Bijira, who happens to be the General Secretary, National Union of Trade Organizations, and of course Moses Mauku, who is the Treasurer General. Thank you so much for your time. We hope you do not betray the unionists, because this is one of the things that has come out. They have so much hope in you, and they believe their welfare entirely lies on you standing up for their rights. And of course, those that employ, these are not enemies. We must have that core peaceful existence between the employee and the employer. See you in the next hour. God bless you.
The most affordable 4G smartphone in Uganda from Airtel. Now heavily discounted from 250,000 shillings to 150,000 shillings only. Yes, 150,000 shillings only to keep you connected.